Hamish and Kai Ming here today. We're talking about investment property, what's a good property, and what's good for you. You know, sometimes a good property is not always the right property for you, as Kai Ming has been learning.
Yeah, true.
As he's been listening to, to my very aging viewpoints.
Yeah, very Asian episodes, but really meaningful. Some of the golden rules still apply to the current days.
Yeah.
So it never gets old.
Full disclosure, Kai Ming is now working with us as a credit assessor, but he has experience in Australia as well, helping a lot of clients with their homes out there. This is very general advice, so I'm going to share with you my very stubborn old views, and Kai Ming is going to kind of share with what he's seen out there today in terms of just a very basic idea about property investment, right? So, Kai Ming, where have you been looking?
Well, we kind of we got the stages because we have been browsing the market for 1 year without making any offer. That takes so long. But the reason for that is we start with the golden rule, that is the location when you are thinking about buying the properties. But we were kind of trapped by that kind of saying. So when we first look into the properties, we look at the golden suburbs like Remuera, Ponsonby, Epsom, Meadowbank, those luxury communities, right? So they are, of course, good location.
Yep.
But I later realized the reason why we can't make an offer is because we can't. It's just too expensive. So we can't make any offers. So
until you started looking at
we look at something else, like if
townhouses.
The townhouse, maybe the title not fully detached, maybe not too luxury.
Yeah. And I think so. It's interesting what you say, because you got a unique situation where you're thinking investment or maybe to live in, and you're trying to do both. And again, it's very important to understand what you're trying to do, because they're two different types of properties, and if you try and do together, sometimes you can compromise too much on both sides. But my old fart view is I still like land. More pathetic areas, you could say. It would be I shouldn't say pathetic, more average. I like the blue collar stuff with a better rental return compared to the price, because especially when you're young like yourself, and you have a good 10-20 years before you really need to cash up, you can afford to try and buy smaller ones instead of one big one, maybe two smaller ones, two different areas, hedge your bets, and in 10-20 years there's a good chance that one of those suburbs actually become better in some sense for home buyers. So
I think it's also good because when you are kind of only investing in one properties, you're kind of gambling by investing all your funds into one suburb and counting on that one suburb will become a next Epsom or Remuera. But if you are kind of investing in two different suburbs, then give you more chances, right?
More chances. Plus, also, I think more and more with the Reserve Bank and central bank interventions with the things like your deposit restrictions, and now on the horizon is debt to income ratios. There seems to be always an exemption or a way you can get around it if you're building new.
Yeah, true.
Right. So if you already have a plot which allows a little extra, little tiny house on there, suddenly it means you can still carry forward and still build your portfolio or carry on with the next investment, even if you don't fit into the traditional rules of being able to buy. So that's another little hidden feature of buying something with a little bit of land.
Yeah, that's a part of the reason why we end up giving up all the luxury suburbs, because there's pretty much no land at all, or those property with the land, the price are another numbers. But if we want to have something that can do up in the future and have the property growth and the value growth in the future, then it has to have the land. So that's the reason why we are moving our focus onto other areas, like a nearby to maybe Onehunga, or to maybe even more remote, like a Papakura, which the price is more affordable.
And you can get beautiful sections.
Yeah,
you still get beautiful bits of land. And the other thing that you can do, obviously, is, like you said, do-ups. But one thing which I think people sometimes miss out, especially in Auckland, we don't tend to think out in those lines, but if you look outside of Auckland, it becomes more apparent, is when you're buying old, your money is mostly going into the land.
Yes.
And sometimes if you look at how much you're actually getting the improvements or the structure for, it's actually below cost in a lot of towns at the moment.
Yeah.
So, if you're spending, let's say, for example, 600 or 700,000 on an investment property, and 400 or 50, or most of that is into the land, the structure is depreciated, and you're only spending 200 odd on the structure. You can't rebuild that for 200. So you're actually kind of getting, it's already depreciated. So you're not. It's like buying a new car versus an old car. So I still think there is a couple of extra little, still good reasons to buy old in an average area. And I say average area because the money you put in compared to the rent, it's a better relationship for the long term, for the hold. Because you're not competing against other home buyers that are trying to get in, and they don't care about the numbers.
Yeah, Hamish told me when I'm trying to learn something from Hamish said really funny things. Don't try to bargain with the first home buyers because sometimes investor and the first home buyer, they have completely two different mindsets. When an investor, by looking for the property, they look at the future growth, and also whether it's easy to do any improvement to the property. But it's just everything is financially, so it's whether it's profitable or not. But when first home buyer
or any home buyer,
any home buyer, if they are really keen for the property, they will just go for it.
They're thinking more of the suburb, the school zones, the barbecues they're going to have, and their friends, and so and some of it doesn't, emotions, and they don't make so much sense in terms of numbers. But anyway, look, thanks for watching. Thanks for that, Kai Ming. Thanks for sharing your insights.
Thanks for having me.